Good evening everybody and welcome to our transition question and answer. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday evening. I am Mrs Agar. Lots of you will already recognise who I am from all of the communications that I've sent out to you. I have a colleague with me here tonight to help answer some of the questions, so I'm just going to allow him to introduce himself.
Good evening, I'm Mr Simpson. I'm the Assistant Head Teacher for Behaviour and Safeguarding. I've been here for many years and I've worked within the pastoral team for the last 6 years. One of my job roles was the Head of House, so I've been very much involved in transition and welcoming the Year 6s up to the Wilnecote School. Also we did this last year, so hopefully we're prepared for some of the questions that you're going to ask.
So do excuse me if I keep looking off to the side. We have all of your questions coming through on a computer, so we'll address them as they come up. We've got all of the ones that you sent to us, but if there are any more that you wanted to send whilst we are live, they will be filtered and come through to us as well. So I'm going to jump straight in. The first one is, most importantly, when they are due back in September, I have the 6th of September from your calendar, but do Year 7 start before this? The first school day for all of our students will be September the 6th, which is a Monday. We will send out some more communication before the end of the term, so before the 21st of July, just to explain the class that your child is going to be in, the tutor group and house that your child's going to be in, and what we need them to do, where we need them to go on the first day. So I know that that's still a little bit open to having more questions around that, but we will communicate all of that with you before the end of term. But 6th of September is the first day for students. We've also had lots of questions about summer school. Now, some of these questions came in over the last few days. On Monday, you should have received a letter to the email address that you've provided us with that explains the next steps for being part of summer school. So if you want your child to be involved, please have a look for that email, because there is a form for you to return and send back to us, all electronic. If for any reason you do not have that email or can't find it, please contact the office in the morning and we'll get another copy of that out to you. So we've been asked about school start time and finish time, Mr Simpson.
Okay, yeah, not a problem. So our first lesson begins at 8:30 in the morning. We expect all students to be on school site at 25 past. That gives us plenty of time for students to find the classroom, sit down, ready to learn. So our first lesson officially starts at 8:30 in the morning, and then our school day finishes at 2:40. So it's a little bit earlier than you're probably used to at primary school. This was introduced for numerous reasons, and we'll probably touch upon that with some of the other questions which we'll probably get through this evening. So it's a 8:30 start and we all finish at 2:40.
A nice early finish compared to some schools, I know. That does mean that we end up having a shorter lunch. So most primary schools, I think all primary schools that we're involved with, have a 1 hour lunch. Our students will only get 30 minutes when they come up to us in September. They will adapt very quickly to that, but it will be a bit of a change for them. But it means that we get to finish that little bit earlier.
We were saying that we have 5 lessons throughout the day. So we have 5 1-hour lessons. The timetables are slightly different depending on the year group that you're going in. As Mrs Agar has already said, you'll get more information in the near future, and also when you get your timetable on the first day in. But we have 5 1-hour lessons, and obviously break and lunch is in there as well. And we also have our tutor time, which is also 20-25 minutes.
Yeah, and there will be a break time in there as well, a 15-minute break. So there's 2 opportunities throughout the day to go and get something to eat and to have a drink. And for Year 7, they get to have their lunch break on their own. They won't mix with other year groups at lunchtime. And I know that there's a question coming up about COVID restrictions and stuff, so I'll address that a little bit more in a moment. 2 questions about the first day of term. First days, will it just be Year 7s on their own? Where do they go to for drop-off? What's the start and finish time? So the start and finish time will remain as the normal school day. Drop-off will be, am I right in thinking it's any gate, isn't it?
Yeah, so in September, obviously we will be resuming back to normal, so they can enter via either gate that we've got at the Wilnecote School, and obviously you can drop them off if you wish. However, there's going to be loads of members of staff outside in the school building which will direct students to where they need to be.
And again, I've mentioned about the fact that we're going to be communicating with you before the end of term. That letter will finalise those details of the first day for you. I don't have a definitive answer on whether it will be just year 7, and I don't anticipate it to be just year 7 for the full day, but there will be lots of staff around and we will communicate the full programme out to you before September arrives. So where will I know where to go on my first day? I think Mr Simpson's just covered that with his explanation that there will be lots of us around. I'll be outside somewhere, Mr Simpson will be somewhere, all of the senior leadership team will be out and about, as well as tutors and lots of other members of staff. It is a big building, it is daunting, and if you haven't been here before, especially if you end up coming in from a different entrance to the one that you came to on transition day, it can be confusing, but there are lots of us around to show you the right way. When do the children find out whose class they are in September? So class groups will be fixed, they'll only change for maths and English. And you'll get that information in the letter before the end of term next Wednesday. Tutor groups will be fixed as well, but will be different to the teaching class. We use a vertical tutoring group system, so there'll be a few year 7s, a few year 8s, a few year 9s, a few year 10s and a few year 11s in one tutor group with one tutor that they will see Monday to Friday in that tutor time that Mr Simpson just mentioned. Again, that information will be communicated to you next week. Lots of people are asking about the houses and the ties in particular. We haven't told all of our current students their new houses yet. As you'll know from the letters that have already come out to you, we've changed our whole house system to incorporate, I'm saying the same thing here, but that will come out to you in a letter next week. A list of stationery items that students will need.
Okay, so once again, Miss Ager's just said that you will get all of this information through. So you will have a checklist, I suppose, of stationery which you'd expect all of our students to have. But the basics, pens, pencils, rulers, rubbers, they're obviously going to be needed. And one thing I would strongly suggest is coming to school with more than just one pen, more than one pencil, because they get lost, they get damaged. So it's just about being prepared, making sure you've got all the correct equipment. But that information will come out to you, so don't get panicking. You've probably already got this stuff at home. The one thing I would say, and working here for a very long time, is just to ensure you have more than one of those items.
Yeah, it happens quite a lot where we forget a pen or drop a pen and we need a backup one, or they just run out, don't they? I'm a science teacher, so something that I would also recommend, but it's not compulsory, is a calculator. Students will not be able to use phones as calculators, so there is no compulsion at this time for you to have to buy one, but if that's something your child would feel more comfortable having, they wouldn't be able to use the one on their phone. It would need to be a separate calculator. Once they get into GCSE level, they'll be asked to have one anyway, so it's great practice to have it right from the start. I do believe that we've had a bit of a network issue, and you might have missed some of what I was saying about the houses. So the information to you about what house, what class and what form your child is going to be in, we're holding on to that until next week. The reason for that is our current students in year 7 to year 10 have not been told their new houses yet. As you know from the previous communication, we've changed our house system. We've expanded from 3 houses to 5, which is fantastic. And that's to allow for us being a growing school. Our year groups are getting bigger every year. If you didn't already know, your child is going to be one of 201 children in year 7, which is our biggest year group at the moment. It's brilliant. So to allow for that, we've changed our house system to 5 houses, and we've got to tell the students in school what their new house is. So rather than telling the students already here first or the new students first, all of that information is going out on the same day. And that way, if you do have siblings, if you've already got a child here in one of the older year groups, they don't find out before or after their younger brother or sister. So I know you're all anxious and excited for that information, but please hang on just a few more days. Next week, you're going to get a personalised letter that will say something along the lines of, your child is in class, whatever, house, whatever colour, and then tutor group with their tutor's name. You will also get a transition booklet that explains all of the things, such as the most up-to-date information on the uniform, the standards that we expect, the equipment check. What else is in the booklet?
Everything that you need to know, so the timings of the day,
Right.
some of our most important rules, the behaviour policy, the consequence system which we've got at school, all of that type of information will find its way to you, and everything that we're saying here is going to be in that document, so it's really crucial that we have a read of that. Certainly sit down with your son or daughter before you come up to school in September, so you will get all of that information. But just going back to what Mrs. just said, it's a real exciting time. It's a real exciting time to be joining us at the Wilnecote School. The fact that we're moving to 5 houses, it's been a huge transition for us, but one that as members of SLT we're really looking forward to, and we know that the staff and our existing students can't wait to get started. I think it's quite important to say that siblings will be in the same house because it's important for that communication and that pastoral care, but siblings will not be placed in the same form. So even though they're in the same house wearing the same colour tie, they will not find themselves in the same tutor group.
Brilliant. Okay, next question then. So changing tact a little bit, is there any reading list or some recommended activities to prepare for September during the summer holidays? Well, obviously we've had the summer school option, and as I said before, please do contact us if you've not had that information. But something we're really proud of here at the Wilnecote School is our accelerated reader programme. If you go onto our website and search the accelerated reader, there is a whole range of information and books that you can get involved in reading to progress you in that way. Reading's absolutely fantastic. I'm always recommending books to Mr. Simpson. I don't think he reads a lot of my recommendations, but I definitely suggest them to him. Okay, so we've got some questions coming through now from the YouTube chat. In the equipment list, boys require football boots, gum shields and shin pads. Why is this not on the girls list? I think I can answer this one.
After you, miss.
Okay, so girls are more than welcome to wear and bring any of those items. I spoke to the PE department about this and they wanted me to make it really, really clear that the only reason it is not a requirement is not all students will get to play football. There is a football club after school, so they're more than welcome to join that. But the way the timetable works, not all of the children will play football as part of their PE lessons. Therefore, there is no financial commitment for you to buy those pieces simply for a lesson that they might not do. So it's all about thinking of you as parents, as families, and that, you know, there'll be some girls who already own that stuff or who are already part of a football team outside of school, and you are more than welcome to bring those things in, but absolutely no pressure from us for you to buy them for a lesson that you might not actually take part in. Are there keyboard lessons for my daughter to carry on with from primary school?
I can answer this one, miss. Yeah. So within our music department, obviously they have different lessons. They will use different instruments. After school sessions, they will be available, but once again that information will be shared when you join us in September. So obviously pre-COVID we used to have people come in and do different types of lessons, so it will certainly be something that will become available in September. At the moment with our current years that hasn't been possible, but we're hoping in September that will be, you know, once again available for students to do after school.
And I do believe that there is a letter coming out from Mr. Hayden, who is the head of our music department, to you. I think it's scheduled for Friday. It's certainly scheduled for this week. But he will be sending you a letter about the different instrument lessons available to the students and how to go about booking them. Because he is only one person, doesn't do them all himself, but he is the one who coordinates it all. And it is a really big part of the Wilnecote School. How do you communicate with parents who are separated? Is it letters in school bags that rarely get sent home? Is it via email? Okay, I know. Do you know this one?
Yeah. So obviously, if if we've got two parents who require information regarding the student, what would happen is we would set up the parent mail, which is those email addresses which you would have supplied, and then anything that we send home, i.e. Letters, important announcements, that will be sent to both sets of parents. Currently our monitoring, which our students pick up at the end of each term, that is usually paper based. So if one of the parents needs another copy, that can just be organised. So it's just about communicating with us as a school, but most of the time it is duplicated via parent mail. However, if there's something that is missing, it's not a problem. We can also get that information straight out. So, you know, our communication is very strong here, but if you feel that we need to do a little bit more, it's just about getting in touch with us and we'll make sure you get that information so it's not missed.
Yeah, and our system is set up in a way that if we have the correct email addresses on parent mail, it will automatically send it. It's not a case of somebody having to remember that, oh, these parents are separated, we need to send it to these two. It will automatically do that for us. So, you know, if you have, I don't know, grandparents who regularly help out with the children, you could maybe have the parent mail set up to go to them as well as yourself, just so that you know that the right people are getting the communication you want them to have. You will be getting, I don't know if you've had it already, you will be getting a letter that comes from our communications manager about how to set up parent mail. That will be coming to you if it hasn't done already. There's going to be quite a bit over the last 5 days of term just to make sure we've got all of the information out to you. Are we going to do iron-on badges? I don't think we've ever done iron-on badges, have we?
I don't think we have.
Everything is the embroidered versions that are available through the uniform website that you've already had the link to and is available through our own website. Apologies, that's not something that we've ever done. Why do the tutor groups have different year groups? I'm going to let Mr Simpson answer this one.
Okay, so as Miss Ager's already said, we use vertical tutor groups at the Wilnecote School, and we've been doing that now for a very long time, and it's proved a massive success. So rather than it just being the same year group, we felt by mixing the students up, it gives them a much bigger experience of school life. So rather than being in the same class with year 7s all day, they get to speak to the older year groups, and it has many advantages, and I speak to students about this quite a lot. So, you know, if a student might be struggling with a piece of homework, hopefully one of the students in the older year groups would have done something similar, or will, you know, have a love for that subject, for example, and that they can go and speak to them and do some work and help them with it. So it brings many advantages, and it's something that I'm really proud of in terms of part of my job role, and I know that other members of staff are as well. And it also enables as a tutor to teach a wide range of ages rather than just being one age group as it would be in a normal lesson. And we do promoting within our tutor groups. We have little family groups, so on certain days they might do a little bit of group work. So rather than it just being year 7s in a group and year 8s, we want them to mix together, because it enables them to, you know, build their social skills, interact with older people, people they might not usually work with, and it's only a positive thing. So something that it might seem a little bit scary to get started with, but it will be absolutely fine. And our current year 7s, who are obviously going into year 8s, due to COVID, they haven't experienced this yet. So not only with our new year 7s, our current year 7s, our new year 8s, they're going to be in exactly the same boat. So that's where it's down to us as members of staff, the tutors, that'll make them feel welcome. In the first couple of days, it'll be introducing themselves, maybe a little bit of team bonding, to make sure that all of those people settle in and they feel that they belong to that tutor group and they belong to that house.
Yeah, and I actually think that your children are joining at a very unique time. Because of COVID, we have been restricted to year group bubbles, so we have had to temporarily suspend our vertical tutoring, and our students, our current students, have been in year groups, and actually we found that it is not nearly as successful as the vertical tutoring has been in the previous years, and from a personal teaching point of view, it's really nice to have that new feel to the group when those new year 7 starts, and there's always that level of continuity that even when the year 11s are leaving and moving on to their next destination, you've got the younger year group 7, 8, 9 and 10 who are staying with you, and it's only a few that are joining. So it's a really lovely experience. and it's something that, as Mr Simpson said, we're very proud of as a school, and as a majority of teaching staff really wanted to keep it. Okay, so where do you put your phone? Do you keep it in your bag or do you hand it into the office? Oh, phones are always a really big one, aren't they?
I'll answer this one.
Yeah, I think you're best
Okay,
placed.
so a few years ago, we introduced the no mobile phone rule within school. So it's a real simple rule. When a student arrives to school, if they want to stand outside and have a little bit of a chat, they can be on their mobile phone. That's fine. Obviously, they need to be in the school building at 8:25, which I've already said. As soon as that student enters the school building, that mobile phone has to go away. So what I recommend is you just turn it off. You can put it in your blazer. They've all got a pocket on the inside of the blazer or in their bag. So at 8:25 or a little bit earlier, when they enter that building, so as soon as they step foot into the building, the mobile phone goes away. That stays the same throughout the whole day. So mobile phones can't be taken out at break or lunch. They can't be taken out in lessons. They might go to a lesson where the teacher allows it, and that's fine, but there is a no mobile phone rule. It's been a massive success. All of our students follow this, and students cannot get their mobile phone back out until they step foot out of the school building, which is obviously at 2:40. So I have had many conversations with parents regarding this issue and some of our students. If a student's caught on their phone, on Instagram, any of the social media platforms, or sometimes they'll just say, "I'm just checking the time, sir," that means they've got their mobile phone out, and unfortunately that will therefore come with a consequence. So what happens in that instance is that the classroom teacher will ask for the mobile phone off the student. They seal the mobile phone up. They then give it to reception, who look after the mobile phone, and they store it in a safe place. What will then happen is that will automatically generate a detention, which will be for an hour. Usually it's the next night, and then for the phone to be returned, an adult, the parent of that child, needs to turn up to school at the correct time, which we are giving you in the information and the transition booklets which you're going to receive, and then you can get the mobile phone back. However, if for some reason, if parents are at work, then we will give the mobile phone back to that student the next day at an appropriate time. However, it's really important just to note that we only have a certain time slot for mobile phones to be picked up, because as you can imagine, it's a real busy school. Our reception do numerous jobs. So when you get that information in the transition booklet, that is the only time which you can pick up the mobile phones.
Brilliant. And it is a very small minimum that ever have to go through that process. Students are reminded by teachers and by anyone else around the school, and I would say that our children are really good at following that rule.
Yeah, we hardly see any detentions for mobile phones. Yeah. When we first introduced it, was a little bit wary. Would we have loads of detentions? But all of our students know the rules, they know our standards, they know our expectations, and they know if they get caught on it, they know what the consequence is going to be. And for the majority of the students, that's one thing they don't want to lose, is their mobile phone.
Absolutely. And don't forget, they only get 15 minutes for break and 30 minutes for lunch. So by the time they've eaten, had a few minutes outside, it's actually time to start thinking about the next lesson anyway. Okay, so having 201 year 7 children, how many are going to be in a class? I can answer that one for you. There are going to be between 27 and 29 in each tutor group, depending on which tutor group you are in, and 28 or 29 in each year 7 class. Because we are an expanding school, we have been in a brilliant position to be able to recruit some new staff this year. So there's going to be quite a few new faces that our current students haven't met yet. I've only met a few of them personally, so I'm really looking forward to meeting some of those. If you have a child in one of the 3 houses that currently don't have a pastoral house manager, officer, you will be having a new member of pastoral staff who will be your link as that house. So we've got 2 who are staying with us, and we've had to recruit 3 more. So there's lots of new faces, new teaching staff, new support staff. We are, as I've said before, a growing school, and so our classes aren't full, although we are over subscription in terms of how many we can have in the year group and have a waiting list. We are not at 32, 34 kids in a class. in year 7, which is brilliant to be able to say. So yeah, 28 or 29 depending on which group they end up in. What do you do in the tutor time? I guess I should probably answer that, being as that is a big part of my role. So although I've done a lot of the transition with you, one of my big roles in school is in being in charge of something called PSHE, which you may have had, what you will have had at primary school. They may have called it a different name. Some schools use a programme called Jigsaw to deliver this. And so we have an assembly. Every house will have an assembly, one per week. Every house will do some kind of literacy activity on one of the days, and the reason we do that is that some of the great skills that are learnt at primary, students tend to accidentally forget, and so we found through having our literacy coordinator position in the school, and you know, some things that were brought up in our previous Ofsted visits, is that actually focusing on that literacy really makes a difference to our students. We do PSHE, as I've just mentioned, which is looking at all sorts of things. There'll be lots of communications about that in September, because we're changing what we call it. We're going to be calling it the Wilnecote Way. And that looks at everything from health and well-being of the individual, what's going on in the wider world, careers, and where they might want to go after school. And although it seems very young to be discussing that in year 7, actually it's a brilliant time to start helping them think about, actually, why am I doing all of this learning? Where am I going with it? And we also look at all of our rewards and our celebrations of great success in there. And then, it sounds like a lot, it is a lot. We also will revisit our standards. So, you know, if your tutor will check daily if uniforms are good, have you got all the right equipment, is there anything that we need to talk about because things aren't quite up to scratch. And
attendance as well.
Attendance, yeah, and you know, the odd student who might be picking up a few too many detentions. The tutor has all of those discussions with them. So it is a lot to fit. Although there's a session every day, there's a lot to do in that time. And we communicate with you, or we will be communicating with you, what that programme is. And when it comes to there is the relationships and sex education within PSHE, just like they have to do in primary school, we have to communicate that to you. And there will be a nice new policy ready for you to read from September on that. It's currently just going through the authorisation process, but all that will be there as well. Most of it is delivered to the mixed age groups, but some things that are age specific. So for example, there are some things within the sex education side that are not appropriate for year 7s and 8s to hear, but are essential for year 10s and 11s. We will split the year groups out, but we'll take the year 10s and 11s out to cover that separately with them. So where it is age sensitive, we will do that, but for the majority, it's all mixed and covers a huge range of things.
I think it's also important to note, isn't it, that tutor time is very busy. It's all very fun, learning new things. As we say at the start of the year, it's going to be a bit nerve-wracking meeting those new people. But one thing which I know that I can speak on both our behalf is there'll also be some house competitions. So at different intervals throughout the year, we might have a Christmas-themed competition where it's a competition between the different tutor groups within the house and then between the houses. And hopefully next summer we might be able to have a sports day. Obviously we haven't had one for a long time, and obviously those students taking part in sports day, and hopefully it's everybody, will be representing their house. So it's also got the competitive element, but also it's there where it brings everybody together, and as Miss says, we cover a large amount of things which will guide your sons and daughters through their journey at the Wilnecote School. Yeah.
We have both been form tutors, and we've both been a head of house. We've worked together for quite a while as heads of houses. Apparently I'm a bit competitive. But yeah, so we know exactly the pressure that the form tutor's under. We know what is being asked of the students to do in that time. So I think we're very well placed to manage those expectations and make sure that it runs really well. That was a really good question. Thank you for that one. So are there any lockers that we can pay for to be used at school?
Yes, we have got lockers in school. There's certainly not enough lockers, one per student. That would be impossible, but there is some lockers in school, and I believe that I think there's a small deposit where you can have the locker for that academic year. However, if a student's organised and they organise their bags the night before, due to little lesson changeover and such a short break and lunch, there's not a great need for the lockers. We found in pre-COVID, before this year, that a lot of our lockers weren't being used. However, you will get more information about that, and if your son or daughter would like to have a locker, we will talk you through that process. But there's certainly not enough for one locker per student. But you know, if they're organised and the bags are neatly presented and got everything in, a locker may not be needed, but that's something that they can talk to their tutor about, talk to the pastoral team. If they really want one in September, it can certainly be arranged.
Yeah, that will definitely come through early form time. A question here, perfectly for you, Mr. Simpson. The policy on behaviour and bullying, please.
Okay, so information about the bullying and the behaviour policies, they are already on the school website, and they've been on there for a very long time. There will be some information coming out regarding the behaviour policy and the consequence system, which is what we use within classrooms and managing behaviour, especially low-level disruption. That will be given to you in the transition booklet. So it would take me all night to explain all the finer points of that, but it's all in there. If you can't wait to read the transition booklet, which you'll get very, very shortly, after this you can go onto the school website and it's all on there, and all the information you need is in there. And if you had any further questions, I'm sure if you got an email to reception or to one of us, we could certainly respond to that if you've got any concerns before September.
Yeah, brilliant. Next one then is about parent pay for children's meals. Yes, we do use parent pay, and we use a thumbprint from the children to access their parent pay, so nobody can be taking any kind of payment card or anything from them. We're currently waiting for a few bits of data from people. We can't send out the permissions for you to migrate to parent pay until we've got the remaining bits of data, and we have to make sure that your children are actually definitely here from September. So if you know that for whatever reason you have not returned your data forms yet, if you look back on any of the previous communication or go to the transition page on our website, there is a link to the data forms. If you can get those to us as soon as possible, that would be great. If you've already sent them, you are in the parent pay email ready and waiting to go, but we will have all that set up for you at the start of term and communicate to you that way, and we'll have to go through the process in the first couple of days of registering the children's thumbprints ready for them to be able to purchase any food. Again, and I know we're saying this a lot, but you will be sent some more communication at the start of the school year about that and how you can make payments. I know some schools already use it, so it will simply be a case of we send you a code and you can just move it from your current school to our school. But for anybody that is new to parent pay, you'll have all that registration information. And whilst I'm thinking about school meals, if your child already has free school meals and you do not currently live in or attend a Staffordshire school, even though they have approved free school meals, you will need to apply again for that process. If you need help with that, please contact us on the office@wilnecotthighschool.org email. That will come via me or the finance team, and we'll make sure that we support you with that. But if you are not in a Staffordshire school, you have to go through a process of reapplying, even though you're coming to a Staffordshire school. So yeah. PE tops. The supplier has suggested that the hoodie is being discontinued, and current parents with children at Wilnecott have suggested their children never wore the rugby top. Can you confirm what is needed, please? We've had lots of questions about this. So to answer the question about the hoodie, we are discontinuing the hoodie. There are still some available with the uniform supplier, so you can still purchase one until they have run out. Once they've run out, they won't be restocked. If you purchase one, your child can wear it until it no longer fits. So we're in a process of phasing out the hoodies, and that can be worn by males or females. At one point it was suggested to be a female only product, but now it's available for males or females. If there's one available, your child can wear it until it doesn't fit. However, we have moved to a new zip up top that should be showing on your screen now, that also will be available onto the school uniform site, and we would encourage and recommend you to purchase these. We are not going to be allowing any other type of hoodie or sports top in school, and I know it's something that Mr. Simpson deals with a fair amount in his role. So students coming in with grey hoodies with a big Nike logo on, we end up confiscating those, don't we?
We do.
And so we would encourage everybody to move to one of these. By the time your children are in probably year 9, everybody will have them, because there'll be no hoodies left and there'll be no children left that fit into the hoodies that they've got now. So to answer the question, summarise my answer, yes, you can buy a hoodie. Yes, they can wear them until they no longer fit, but we would prefer and encourage you to buy the new one, and that is what will be allowed to be worn. Okay, so sticking on the idea of uniform, are uniform vouchers available for low income families, and if so, how do you apply? Right, yes there are. Rather than me, that's going to be relevant to a very small number of people, so I'd really encourage you to get in touch with the office in the morning. If you use the office@wilnecotthighschool.org email address and ask that question again, we'll be able to get back in touch with you and talk you through the process. Right, okay, so just having a look at the time there, we are starting to run out of time. So we're going to make this our last question, and I'm going to let Mr. Simpson answer it. I haven't even read what it is yet.
Okay.
What after-school opportunities will be available in September?
Okay, so this actually comes all nicely with what I was saying earlier. So when we decided to change our school times, obviously we finish at 2:40. As I said earlier, that's much earlier than probably what you do at primary school and compared to other secondary schools in Tamworth. So the reason why we introduced that was to encourage after-school clubs. So at the moment we have, they're starting just to come back a bit. What will happen come September is we have different PE after school activities, so football, netball, basketball, hockey. So we have all numerous sports throughout the year. We also have drama clubs, music, which we mentioned earlier with the different instruments. We also have extracurricular activities within certain departments, and something that's we're going to relaunch is within my department. I'm an IT teacher, so if a student might be struggling with their homework, or if it's a GCSE student and we do coursework, if they're struggling, we can do catch-up sessions, or students can do some extra work. So there are many after-school activities, and the fact that we finish at 2:40, if a student only stays behind for half an hour, we're still looking at 10 past, 3:15, which is the time when they would have finished their primary school. So it's going to be an exciting time in September. We've been saying that throughout this interview, and I think it's about embracing that opportunity. And if your son or daughter get the opportunity to do an after school club, we've just got to embrace it, and as staff we're looking forward to reintroducing it as well. So throughout the year there'll be many opportunities to do different things. Obviously in February, I'm not sure if anybody's been up before, but we do our yearly production, so obviously that's an after school activity. So there will be loads going on come September, and hopefully everybody will be able to join in and stay in school a little bit longer and enjoy it, and take as much out of the school life and the school experience as they possibly can.
That was a brilliant answer, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you.
And just to add to that, as I said before, we have got lots of new staff joining us, and with new staff always, in my experience, comes with, I want to do this club, I want to introduce this with the students. So although we can talk about the things that we know are coming, there will be things as well that the new staff want to bring in. So I agree with Mr. Simpson, it's a really exciting time to be joining the Wilnecott School. We are really excited to meet all, I know I've met most of the new students. Mr.
I can't wait. I'm usually involved quite heavily with transition. I help Miss a lot, and unfortunately I didn't get to see you all when you came up a few weeks ago. So I'm really looking forward to meeting you on that first day. If you see me, might be a little bit shy, just come over and say hello, and knowing who we are will always help. So please do not be shy. If you see me walking around the corridors, I will say hello to everybody, but come and introduce yourself, tell me a little bit about you, because I might not teach you necessarily, but I want to get to know all of you, and I cannot wait for September. You know, we want to forget about this year. It's been a torrid year for all of us for many reasons. September's going to be a fresh start, and you're going to be part of that, and it's a great time to come in with the houses and everything that's going on. It's a real exciting time at the Wilnecote School at the moment.
Absolutely, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to people without plastic screens in front of us. So, a few things just to wrap up before we say our final goodbye. You are going to get communication over the end of this week and the start of next week around parent mail, the music lessons, the transition booklet, classes and houses. So there's going to be, please keep an eye on your emails. There's going to be quite a bit coming through to you over the next few days. Summer school is happening. You have had communication about that already. I sadly won't be here, but there will be lots of staff here that work in the school that you will get to meet and spend time with and see a different face. You've seen lots of me and heard lots from me. And we are so looking forward to seeing you all in September. I thank every single one of you who has got in touch for tonight, got in touch over the last few months. If we have not answered any questions you have, or you think of something after tonight, please email us using the office@wilnecotehighschool.org email, and it will get sent probably to me. If it's somebody more relevant, it'll get sent to them, and we will get back to you before we finish the school year next week. Thank you so much for being a part of this evening, and we look forward to meeting your children and hopefully you as parents and carers in September and next year. Thank you.
Take care. Bye bye.